Pablo, good to see you. How you doing? How you been, Pablo? How's things? Pure, good to see you as well. How you doing? Evening, how you been? How's things? How you been? Okay. Joe, good to see you as well. How you doing? Evening, how you been? Richard, good to see you as well. Good evening, how you doing? How you been? What's up, Miles? What's up, CMF? Your live says episode 207 again. Yeah, Kerry, I'm aware of that. T, good to see you. So how you doing? So after every live show, I have to change the title on YouTube. For some odd reason, it decides to only post as episode 207, so I get stuck for some reason. But I changed the other titles, and then straight after this live is done, I'm going to change the title again to the correct title. But yeah, it's the platform that I'm using. Apparently YouTube, I don't know if it's YouTube or if it's Restream. One of them is having difficulties putting the correct title. But straight after the live, I'll put the correct title. I edit it. T, good to see you. How you doing? How you been? Pierce, good evening. Miles, the CMF, good to see you. Pierce, how you doing? How you been? Hi, Miles. How's things? Autistic, good. How's things with you? Hey, brother Miles and CMF, Comatose, good to see you. How you doing? How you been? Do you think Gary's leaving present was an upside-down pineapple? Do I think Gary Gensler's leaving present was an upside-down pineapple? It's an interesting one to say. Well, let's see. Hi, Miles and CMF. Dennis, good to see you. How you doing? How you been? Maybe it is telling us that there are some secret valuable information hidden in that one episode. Maybe there is. Good evening, Miles, and all CMF. JP, good to see you, brother. How you doing? How you been? Morning, Miles and CMF. Shelly, good to see you all morning. How you doing? How you been? Woodhouse, good to see you as well, brother. How you doing? Long time. How you been, Woodhouse? How's things? How's it going? For me, great. How's it going for you, brother? How you been? Now, let's do a breakdown of what we're going to be talking about tonight's live. So, on episode 244, we're on episode 244 right now of the CMF, which is incredible. Now, on tonight's episode, we're going to be talking about Bitcoin and US stocks, essentially seeing the biggest weekly surge since the election week. Then we're going to be talking about tonight's live regarding Ted Cruz, essentially challenging the IRS in terms of their crypto policies. Now, the IRS under the Biden administration is doing some very awful things in terms of taxing the American citizens, which Ted Cruz is trying to challenge, which is a good thing. Then we're going to be talking about essentially Trump ushering in a new age of a crypto wormhole, essentially foundation, a perspective coming out on Trump coming in. January 20th is not that far off, it's about a few days. And essentially what could play out, another perspective from another CEO of a company. Then we're also going to be talking about the Bitcoin reserve for the United States, the coming step by step, a perspective from Coinbase's CEO. We're also going to be talking about tonight's live regarding Wyoming. Wyoming has just passed a new bill, that proposes a Bitcoin reserve plan. We're also going to be going through tonight's live regarding Crypto.com news. Crypto.com has just got the approval for a MiCA regulation, essentially licensing, which means that Crypto.com can operate in the EU very soon. In other words, Crypto.com can continue operating in the EU. Then we're also going to be talking about VC companies. Now, when VC companies all of a sudden show an immense amount of interest on one particular sector, and in this case, essentially being crypto, it's a great sign. And I'll tell you why once we get to that news. We're also going to be talking about China on tonight's live as well, because China has been having some sort of crisis situations in terms of their yuan. The Chinese yuan is not that strong as they pretend to be, and it's not good for that whole BRICS scenario they're trying to create. It's not good for anything, to be fairly honest. But also the Trump administration coming in might put a squeeze on China. And also there's the Economist essentially article that came out as well, which you're going to go for the Economist the magazine, which always displays some sort of imagery of what to come during these years. We're also going to be talking about tonight's live regarding California. California State Assembly plans to draft a pro-Bitcoin legislation and back essentially Bitcoin initiatives. So it's not just essentially Texas or Wyoming or Ohio or Pennsylvania, but California is now getting involved in this as well. We're also going to be talking about President Trump in terms of the phone call he has had with Xi Jinping, the president of China. Then we're also going to be talking about tonight's live regarding the Bank of England, where they have just published essentially a blueprint for their central bank digital currency. As I said previously, CBDCs are going nowhere. They're just going to be clamping down even more. This is the year of CBDCs for a lot of jurisdictions around the world. Then we're also going to be talking about the Ripple CEO fighting back against Gary Gensler, and essentially everybody from Ripple fighting against essentially Gary Gensler, and a few remarks that Ripple did make towards Gary Gensler, especially Ripple's CLO, which is I would have made the same remarks, to be very honest. Now, before we go through any of these news topics, and the first one we are going to be going through is regarding Bitcoin and US stocks seeing their biggest essential crypto assets in general, seeing their biggest essential weekly surge since the election weeks. Before we go through any of those news topics, I just want to say to everyone watching right now, welcome to the CMF Live. It stands for Crypto Mouse Family, and essentially, my name is Miles. I go by the persona of Crypto Miles, and I'm the host of this live Monday to Friday, 11:25 p.m. UK time onwards. And on this live, I talk about the most recent news that's happening around the world in terms of cryptocurrencies, CBDCs, AI, politics, regulations, vital information for you to know about regarding the world completely transforming into a digital space. And we also do Q&As on this live as well, which means if you do have any questions, put it down inside the comment section. We're more than happy to answer any questions you may have. And the disclaimer of this live, as always, is not financial advice, not political advice, and what advice is only for entertainment purposes. So if you're watching for the first time, welcome to the CMF Live. If you're a regular, let's go CMF. And I also want to take just a second to say thank you so much to everybody that's liked this live right now on X, because I'm getting notifications from X. Thank you so much to everybody that's liked this live on X, retweeted this live on X, and put a comment outside of the essentially live on X as well. Thanks so much to everyone on YouTube who's watching right now who's also liked this live and put a comment outside the video as well. Now, before we go for the first news, let's go inside the comment section first, and then we'll go straight into the first news. So let's see where we were inside the comment section. We were here. XRP gone up a bit since I was last year. Yeah, let's just say a bit. I'm good, thanks. Let's go Woodhouse. We are in heaven. Good evening, Miles. How are you, brother? Kelly, good to see you. How you doing? How you been? Good day, Miles and CMF. Mike, good to see you as well. How you doing, brother? How you been? Good evening, Miles. One question. People told me that they're going to remove XRP from the exchanges soon. I have mine in Xamon. Am I safe? Now, the idea that XRP is going to be removed from essentially exchanges, it's not a confirmed theory in any sort of a way. It's just speculation or rumors or conspiracy theorists that claim essentially XRP will be removed from exchanges. XRP could not be, if they wanted to, they could possibly remove from exchanges, but it makes no sense at all for it to be removed from exchanges. So personally, I don't think it's going to be removed from exchanges. It's still going to be available on exchanges for purchasing. However, and the other part of the question, is Xamon safe? Yes, in my point of view, Xamon is safe, but nothing is completely safe. So always consider that fact as well. But Xamon is safe, yes. No financial advice in any sort of a way. We haven't talked about the upside down pineapple for a while. Yeah, we definitely haven't. Good evening. Good evening, my brother Miles and the rest of the CMF family. Funky brother, good to see you. How you doing? How you been? Evening, Miles and CMF. Jason, good to see you. How you doing? How you been? How you been, Miles? I've been great, Funky brother. How you been? Hello, Miles and CMF. Scott, good to see you, brother. How you doing? How you been? Do you feel, Miles, on January 20th, we will see a price increase? Yes, there's two outcomes on the table. So January 20th is obviously the big day. It's the big day where Gary Gensler resigns. Excellent. FDIC chairman resigns. Excellent. CFTC chairman resigns. Good. Trump comes into power. Amazing. So a lot of great things are going to be happening on January 20th. Now, typically inside the crypto space, it's always been buy the rumor, sell the news. Now, this time around, it's very different. And I'm not the only one that's saying this, but there's still two outcomes on the table. But also, we've had perspectives from grayscale analysts essentially coming out as well and saying, you know what, this time around, we don't think it's going to be essentially buy the rumor, sell the news. And, K33, essentially analyst firm, also came out and said that they don't believe it's going to be buy the rumor, sell the news anymore with January 20th. And they think that January 20th is going to be the kickstart for the crypto market to go even higher rather than buy the news, essentially buy the rumor and sell the news. The market's just climbing higher because they're saying it's a different ballgame. Now, I've been saying it's a different ballgame for a while now, and that we're going to be going to a different ballgame because there's regulations, institutions, the Trump presidency, and America become the capital of cryptocurrencies. So a lot of things in play. So on the topic of, is January 20th going to be another price increase for the market space? It should be, to be fairly honest. There's no negativity about January 20th, so it shouldn't play out as buy the rumor, sell the news in any sort of a way. And to be fairly honest, XRP, just taking XRP out of an example of the rest of the cryptocurrency projects, XRP has been playing against the norm for a while now. When Bitcoin is down, XRP is up. When Bitcoin is up, XRP is up. And it's like it's the norm that we normally see inside the crypto space isn't playing out, is what I'm trying to say. Things have changed. So the topic of buy the rumor, sell the news is a low possibility by the looks of it. But the topic of January 20th being an exciting day and the market reacting in a positive way should be on the highest, because it should do, to be fairly honest. What's bad about January 20th for a market dump to possibly happen, unless it's a manipulated dump? That's one thing we have to always factor in, some sort of manipulation. But January 20th in general is a big day and it's a positive day. There's nothing negative about it. Not saying you're saying that, but in general. Because January 20th is Gary Gensler saying goodbye as the SEC chairman. That's amazing. XRP, just based on that, should just pump through the roof. And then we have essentially CFTC chairman resigning, which is good as well. Then we have the FDIC chairman resigning, which is amazing because he's the one that's stifling banks from joining the crypto space in America. And then we have the biggest one, which is Trump coming in on January 20th, becoming the president of the United States, making slowly America essentially the capital of cryptocurrencies and all that. And essentially also we have the Trump talking about, people around Trump talking about how he's going to be introducing, crypto as a priority number one, day one and so on. So there's nothing negative around January 20th for it to be some sort of a dump or buy the rumor, sell the news in any sort of a way. Because buy the rumor, sell the news only applies to, the excitement builds up and nothing happens. But this time around, it's not excitement builds up and nothing happens. It's excitement builds up and actually something happens, where Gary Gensler resigns. That's something that's happening. And then we have the FDIC chairman resigning. That's something that's happening. CFTC resigning. That's something that's happening. Trump coming into power. That's something that's happening. So buy the rumor, sell the news always apply to essentially excitement builds up and then nothing happens afterwards where the market dumps. But this time, if the excitement builds up for January 20th, there's a lot of things happening. So it shouldn't play out as buy the rumor, sell the news in any sort of a way. So there's a high, I would say more on the third side of a high probability of, January 20th being an amazing day for the market space and a few days after that. And there's a low possibility of the other outcome playing out, but a higher chance of a price increase. Miles, is any pump on 20th, so I buy today? Well, there should be. Because the crypto market should react in a positive way, unless we factor in manipulation. You never know where manipulation is going to hit you from which angle. Miles, what price can reach ACH? I not see much action from it. Preferably, you want to stick that ACH into XRP, XLM, XDC, or HBAR, or so on, or financial advice in sort of a way. Best crypto alive. Let's go Woodhouse. Monero is the only real crypto. It's an interesting perspective to have. Monero is the only real crypto. Are you saying that based on its being a privacy token? Privacy tokens will have difficulty operating in a very centralized world we're going to be living in. So privacy tokens will, be operating most in the DeFi space or even in the other side of the market space, the darknet and so on. Good evening, Miles. Zach, good to see you. How you doing? How you been? Share the live. Scott, let's go. CMF, please remember to go to X to comment outside the live. Show some support for Miles. Yes, please do. If you already haven't, like this live show, retweet this live show, and put a comment outside the video. And like each other's essentially comments outside on X as well. Like each other's comments. How has today been, Miles and CMF? Lena's been great. How's it been for you? Good evening, Miles and CMF. Orphan, good to see you as well. How you doing, Orphan? How you been? I've ordered my Tangent. Let's go Woodhouse. XMR is king. Everything else is crap quick. Greg, I don't mind you saying, Monero is a good project and so on, but just keep the swearing on the down low. Hopefully it arrives quicker than it took for your ledger stacks. Yeah. Morning, Miles and CMF. Good to see you all. How you doing, Solomon? If the Ripple lawsuit is dropped by the new, essentially, SEC, will Ripple still have to pay $21 million? Depends. If the case gets dismissed, then most likely not. If the case gets settled, then yes. Share the live. Let's go, Scott. I guess he has some money that needs cleaning. Then. Miles, evening. Good to see you all, Davey. How you doing? How you been? Evening. Now, first news topic on tonight's live is regarding this. Bitcoin and US stocks, essentially crypto market in general, see the biggest weekly surge since election essentially week. Bitcoin has just delivered its largest essentially weekly surge since the November elections that cemented Donald Trump's presidency, climbing an impressive 14% since Sunday. The OG crypto was worth 105,681 at press time per data from CoinGecko. It gained around 3.8% in a single session. The crypto market is excited with the anticipation as Trump prepares for the second inauguration, reportedly bringing the pro-crypto policies into the White House. According to Bloomberg, the administration will name crypto as the national imperative or priority, essentially. It also slated to create a crypto advisory council to advocate for the industry's policy and priorities, said the report from Bloomberg. Bitcoin isn't alone, essentially, on this rise. And Bitcoin really isn't the only token enjoying this rise. XRP is. To be fairly honest, XRP skyrocketed to an all-time high of $3.40 on Thursday. Traders expect Ripple's years-long of legal battles with the SEC to end soon, fueling more demand. At the same time, option markets signal a surge in volatility. The rally also concedes with a broader rebound in riskier investments thanks to the US inflation data, lower than expected readings for both the essentially PPI and the CPI as well, and eased fears essentially of aggressive Federal Reserve actions. US stocks essentially are also on the tier of notching their best week since Trump's 2016 election. The S&P 500 rose 1% Friday morning, putting it on the track for a 3% weekly gain. The Nasdaq essentially isn't that far behind either, with a 2.4% increase, its best performance since December. Still, not everyone is convinced this rally will last. December's strong jobs numbers left some market participants wary of the Fed. It could pause its rate cutting cycles. Bank of America said, "We maintain our view that the Fed cutting cycle is over." Essentially, they pointed out to a strong consumer spending and resilient economy as a reason that the central bank it might hold steady on the rates. Look, what I have to say to that is, honestly, thank Trump won. Thank that Donald Trump won and that Donald Trump is coming in. Otherwise, we wouldn't have any sort of these gains, and we wouldn't have this XRP gain either, at all. Because of Trump, most cases with essentially SEC and Gary Gensler are going to be dismissed or settled. But yet, the biggest essentially crypto project that's done the best so far from the day Trump won as the president of the United States until now is XRP by a mile. XRP has done the most by a mile. Now, moving on essentially from this January 20th announcement that's coming out to Ted Cruz. Ted Cruz is going to be challenging the IRS in terms of their crypto rules and regulations. Now, the IRS is trying to introduce some very stupid regulations in terms of how much tax you should be paying as a US citizen. Now, obviously, this is still under the Biden administration of circus freaks. Senator Ted Cruz of Texas is essentially preparing to challenge a newly finalized IRS cryptocurrency regulation using the Congressional Review Act. The rule requires essentially decentralized cryptocurrency exchanges to collect customer information, including names and addresses, and issue tax forms to users. This has sparked backlash from crypto industries, according to Onyx reports. Ted Cruz's move, supported by Senator Cynthia Lumines, Bill, and Tim, is part of a broader effort to repel what Republicans call the essentially midnight rules of the Biden administration. These regulations were finalized late last year, and the CRA gives Congress essentially until May to overturn them. The CRA resolutions bypass Senate, requiring only majority votes in both chambers to pass, according to Onyx. The IRS rule has drawn criticism from crypto advocates who argue it constitutes government overreach and threatens essentially privacy in decentralized finance ecosystems. The crypto industry, which has which is essentially filled with multiple lawsuits against the IRS, is new one that's going to be happening. And the Treasury Department over regulations sees essentially the CRA as a potential lifeline. The lawsuit alleged that the reporting requirements are unconstitutional and stifle innovation inside the United States. Ted Cruz, who chairs the Conference of Committees, has expressed confidence in the resolution passage, stating that they will be considered according to Annex. Now, what's really happening is essentially they want to know what you're doing inside the DeFi space. The IRS wants to know. So if you're a US citizen, the IRS wants to know what you're doing on DeFi websites. And they want DeFi websites to issue you tax forms, because they know that people, will have to pay taxes. If you buy crypto on, Coinbase or Binance or Crypto.com or whatever exchange it is, they're centralized exchanges, which means at one point they're going to have some sort of a form of a communication with the IRS, for example. But DeFi is a little bit difficult. So what they're trying to do is to get DeFi platforms to issue tax reforms to everybody that's a US citizen and essentially start taxing the hell out of you for buying cryptocurrencies in DeFi places. Now, this is what essentially Ted Cruz is trying to overturn. Ted Cruz is saying essentially this is, going against everything what's about crypto and decentralization and so on, and that the IRS cannot do this. So let's see who's going to win this battle. Is it going to be the IRS or is it going to be Ted Cruz? Now, because there's two sides to this argument. One side is, we don't really live in a world where it's freedom of speech and, human rights and so on. There are lines and so on. And especially when it comes to tax with every government. Tax is what every government survives on, pretty much, by squeezing money out of you or me or anybody else that is in the, lower or middle class, essentially. Upper class get away with some multiple loopholes and so on. But that's how it just pretty much plays out. But Ted Cruz is trying to fight for the people. He's trying to get the IRS to back away from the DeFi space. It's more than enough that they've got their hands on centralized exchanges, but the DeFi space should be, set free, essentially. But then again, there's the argument of if the DeFi space is too free, then essentially major institutions, corporations, and so on around the world, or even banks will have difficulties operating inside the DeFi space because if it's that, loose in terms of regulations. So let's see how it plays out in that basis. But Ted Cruz is right now fighting for US citizens to pay no tax or less tax inside of crypto in the DeFi space. Now, before we go through the next news, which is Trump related as well, let's go inside the comment section first, and then we go straight into essentially the next news, which is related to Trump and related to a CEO who's coming out with his perspective of what's going to be playing out and his point of view after January 20th. Before we go through that, let's go inside the comment section first. Let's see what's going to be happening. As I said previously, this is a live, which means if you do have any questions, put it down inside the comment section. I'll be more than happy to answer the questions you may have. Oh, no. So what's basically just happened now is we're back. Okay. So if you know, I'm using essentially the camera and the comment section. I'm seeing it from a different screen. For a second, it logged me out, so I couldn't see the comment section. But now I can see the comment section again. We're back. We're back. It's all good. Okay. Now, let's just go inside the comment section before we go through the next news. Miles, yes, thank you, brother. Miles, I have 20,000 sitting on USDs. Actually, no, I think you're here. Hi, Miles and CMF. George, good to see you as well. How you doing? Now we're here. Miles, I have 20,000 sitting on USDC profits. I was waiting essentially for the dip, but it doesn't look like it's happening. So what do you suggest I should buy right now before 20th? Look, not financial advice in any sort of a way. If I had 20,000 sitting right now in USDC profits and I wanted to splash out on the crypto market space, especially if I'm going long term, which I'm guessing you are also, a split essentially between the financial projects is what I would go for, because I'm going long term anyways. When it comes to projects like XRP, XLM, XDC, and HBAR, you're going long term. So it's not short-term play. So whatever you buy now, it doesn't really matter because you're playing long-term. I'll give you an example. Michael Saylor. Michael Saylor is buying Bitcoin at $100,000 and he's spending $500 million to buy it. because he's going long term. If that was anybody else, they would say, "Oh, that's crazy." People inside the crypto space need to look at it from also, that the other perspective, how institutions play. They're playing long term. So you're playing long term, which means a $3 XRP is not really expensive because you're playing long term. Or a 40 cents essentially XLM is not really expensive, or 40 cents HBOL is not really expensive, and so on. And 11 cents XDC is not really expensive in any sort of way. So you're playing long term. That 20,000 spread across the financial projects, XRP, XLM, XDC, HBOL, why not? Because they're not expensive for what they're going to become. Just take a chapter out of the MicroStrategy playbook, Michael Saylor's playbook. The man's buying $100,000 Bitcoins, which means you could buy $3 essentially XRPs, because you know that a $3 XRP is cheap for what it's going to become. Not financial advice in any sort of way. Just, entertainment purposes only. If January 20th dump, I'm buying more. If January 20th is a dump, then why not buy more? If you want, wait till January 20th, wait a few days after January 20th and see how things play out. But if you want to play long term, it doesn't really matter if you buy a $3 XRP or $2 XRP. You're playing long term. But yeah, cross them will be better. Spell token today done 70% high. That's great. Funky by Spell I told is a good quick. Hi Miles, the CMF Stormy. Good to see you. How you doing? How you been? No way. That's CoinMove mug. Yep, it's a CoinMove mug. His CoinMove launch. Has CoinMove launched? No, CoinMove hasn't launched yet, and it is close-ish. Happy Pisces, good to see you. How you doing? If January 20th, I am buying more. If January 20th dumps, you buy more. Why not? Yo, how you doing, Nicholas? Anything on HBOL? Nothing so far. Just the typical news of it's going to be doing very well. Hi from Malaysia. Good to see you, Shakira. How you doing? But Scott, HBOL is good to go. Miles, how many percentage do you think XRP is going to take over from Swift? What percentage of essentially in terms of transactions is XRP going to be taking away from Swift? Well, as time goes by, all of it. Not overnight, over time. Miles, I thought today on Beam, I'll go hot on ADA. In terms of which one to get rid of, you can stick them to the financial projects. Hello, Miles and CMF. Glenda, good to see you. How you doing? How you been? Thank you, Miles. As always, you're very helpful. Funky brother. Let's go. Hi, brother. I'm a little late at work, but still with a headset in my ear listening to the show. Let's go, Kama. How you doing, brother? If I had 20,000 in profit, that would go straight into XDC. XDC is a good playbook as well. Miles, will I be able to buy a house from you in Dubai? Yes, through CoinMove, you can pretty much buy anything you want. Now, Trump. Trump ushers in a new age for crypto, a wormhole foundation, Kathy Yoon says. Donald Trump coming in as the 47th US president is expected to usher in a new era for cryptocurrencies, according to Wormhole. The Wormhole Foundation General Counsel, Kathy Yoon. Kathy Yoon has came out and given her perspectives on how things are going to be playing out once Trump comes into power. Now, we've heard a lot of perspectives from different CEOs all around the world, mostly from essentially American CEOs. But here's another one. Trump officially takes office on January 20th, and his campaign pledges, coupled with his selection of crypto advocates for key positions in his administration, a single major for essentially Bitcoin and the broader cryptocurrency market space. Yoon made these remarks in comments shared essentially with a journalist. Yoon views Trump coming in as the beginning of a new chapter where the crypto industry may no longer face any sort of negative consequences of regulation by enforcement. This has been the central grievance of the sector over the past 4 years, marked by the actions from the US Securities and Exchange Commission and other government agencies. In her commentary, Yoon highlighted under Trump's administration, crypto is unlikely to face the same essentially regulation by enforcement approach that has defined the SEC's actions in recent years. With several crypto-friendly figures set to occupy key positions in the new administration, Yoon is optimistic about more collaborative and constructive essentially environments for the industry. She said, I'm hopeful that the Trump administration will usher in a new age where crypto isn't handicapped by the current regulation by enforcements and regimes of the current and recent SEC commissioners. Rather, the expectation is that conversation will be more likely to have the opportunity to be open and beneficial as opposed to the defensive and guarded nature of the recent years. According to Wormhole Foundation General Counsel, Trump's tapping of Paul Atkins to lead the SEC is also a major boost for the industry. Commenting on the overall crypto sentiment around SEC as Trump takes office, Cathy notes that top priority for the industry is regulatory clarity. While new rules are considered with the space, may essentially be able to apply or rely on favorable no-action release, or perhaps essentially even a regulatory sandbox to allow projects to develop and establish themselves while free from enforcement actions. Clear rules will bolster overall adoption of cryptocurrency services and products, she concluded. This bullish take essentially cuts across most of crypto, mainly after Donald Trump embraced crypto during his campaign, and notably Trump emerged as the Bitcoin president, the crypto president is what it's called now, with his major essentially promises of the ecosystem, including the vow to end the SEC's war on crypto. The pro-crypto administration will include Elon Musk, Vivek Ramsey, and Howard Lutnick. And Musk essentially comments on crypto, particularly Bitcoin and Dogecoin, have helped catalyst the market space. Meanwhile, Trump's pick for the Commerce Secretary Lutnick is the chief executive officer of Catalan Fixcard. He's set essentially to leave the firm, but said at the Bitcoin 2024 that he owned BTC. Look, everything this essentially general counsel from Wormhole Foundation is saying, Cathy Yoon, is pretty much on board with every other CEO that's came out essentially so far, or any sort of analyst essentially just came out from JP Morgan. For example, Nicholas, who's a JP Morgan analyst, or essentially Bloomberg analyst, Eric and James, or essentially Grayscale analyst, or Stan Charter analyst, or there's been so many analyst perspectives in the market space of the January 20th of what's going to be playing out. And every single one was positive, and every single one was on the same essentially playing field, which is Trump coming in, regulations, markets gets boosted, crypto is the biggest topic, the biggest talk of the town right now, and it's going to stay like that for a while. And they're not lying, because under Trump's presidency, the 4 years are going to be amazing. Beyond that, it's also going to be amazing as well, to be fairly honest. Now, moving on essentially from Cathy Yoon's perspective to the Bitcoin reserve in the US coming step by step. This one is from Coinbase's CEO. Coinbase's CEO has came out and said he's had a conversation with Trump. He's had a sit down with Trump, and they talked about a Bitcoin reserve or some sort of a crypto reserve. And that Coinbase apparently is going to be playing the role for the US government. So here it is. Coinbase, the largest cryptocurrency exchange in the United States, has announced that it is officially supporting the creation of a US Bitcoin reserve, the BSR. The announcement was made by the CEO, Brian Armstrong, in a blog post shared exclusively on their own page. Coinbase has publicly supported the concept of a national Bitcoin reserve for the first time, just ahead of essentially Donald Trump's second presidential coming into power, and Brian Armstrong, essentially scheduled an appearance at the World Economic Forum as well. As a public company with a market value of $73 billion, Coinbase positions itself as the leading voice in the cryptocurrency industry in the United States. Often considered the industry's de facto essentially spokesperson in Washington, Brian Armstrong also takes a bold, confidential approach to dealing with regulators, inspiring other industry leaders to do the same inside the crypto space. Over the past 2 years, Coinbase has played a significant role in shaping the crypto policies. The exchange was a major funder of the essentially Fair Shake PAC, a political action committee that was influential in the recent congressional elections. And Coinbase also supports the advocacy group Stand With Crypto, which has brought together essentially more than 2 million people to support pro-crypto initiatives. In a blog post, Brian Armstrong called on the global leaders and policymakers to embrace cryptocurrencies as a way to accelerate economic freedom. He outlined 4 key priorities for the crypto space, things that should happen for the crypto space to flourish. Pass a pro-crypto legislation. Brian Armstrong emphasized the need for laws that encourage crypto firms to remain headquartered in their home countries. Essentially, for crypto firms to remain inside the United States, you need to bring regulations. 2, create a reserve. Brian Armstrong described the digital economy as the next global arms race and urged nations to prepare by holding a Bitcoin reserve or some sort of a reserve. 3, creating a special economic zones for digital assets. proposed the establishment of zones that would foster innovation in the crypto sector, potentially through regulatory sandboxes. Sandboxes essentially is something that a lot of nations have created, where crypto companies can test out their platforms in digital sandbox for other companies, and essentially governments get to see it being operational in this digital sandbox before it gets implemented on a large scale. And then fourth, improving government efficiency. Brian Armstrong highlighted blockchain's potential to streamline government operations, referencing the Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE, as an initiative humorously named after Elon Musk's favorite cryptocurrency. The blog post from Coinbase has also, Trump continues to signal his strong support for cryptocurrency, drawing support from Coinbase and other industry leaders. Brian Armstrong reportedly met with Trump privately twice before and after the election, with Trump showing strong interest in crypto-related talks. So it does seem like the whole crypto reserve is going to be happening. It also seems like it's going to be Trump. It's going to be essentially Coinbase that's going to be creating this type of Bitcoin reserve or a crypto reserve for the United States. Either that, or essentially Brian Armstrong is just trying to say we're very happy that this is going to be happening. But they are giving indications that Coinbase is going to be the backbone of the exchange that holds some sort of votes for these, essentially for the government and so on. The same way Coinbase plays a role for BlackRock, and it plays the same role for other institutions that are using Bitcoin ETFs, Coinbase is going to play some sort of a role for the United States government, which is also something that I said a while ago. In 2023, I said there's going to be a time where Coinbase will become the #1 exchange in the world. Not saying it's now the #1 exchange, but it eventually will become. And I said the reason why Coinbase will become the #1 exchange in the world is because it's an American company. America is the biggest market space in the world. And then I said Ripple will also become one of the biggest, essentially, American companies inside the crypto space, the biggest American company inside the crypto space in terms of a payment company or a tokenization company or so on, because also it's American. And I said that Coinbase is going to take over in terms of an exchange, and XRP is going to take over in terms of a medium of exchange, in terms of payments. And it will play out like that, especially if Coinbase is going to be the wallet, for example, for the United States government to secure their wallets. Now, Wyoming is what we're going to talk about next. Just like Texas, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Wyoming is also, thinking about creating some sort of a Bitcoin reserve, and they came out with some sort of a bill that they want to pass. And here it is. Wyoming Representative Jacob has introduced a groundbreaking bill, the State Fund Investment in Bitcoin Act. They're calling essentially the HB 0201, aimed at creating a Bitcoin reserve for the state. This initiative essentially would allow Wyoming to invest a portion of its state funds in Bitcoin as a part of a diversified investment strategy, reflecting its commitments to innovation and financial independence. And Jacob also emphasized Wyoming as always being a pioneer, from women's suffrage to the first national park, from the invention of the LLC to the frontier of digital assets. He also said that the HB 0201 solidifies Wyoming's position as a leader in Bitcoin innovation, offering citizens the lasting advantages of sound money, financial independence. Jacob also pointed out that other states such as Texas, Pennsylvania, North Dakota, essentially exploring similar ideas. Wyoming has enacted over 20 laws supporting cryptocurrencies and blockchain technology since 2018, including its Special Purpose Depository Institution (SPDI) framework. With this bill, the state hopes to support Bitcoin tenets of decentralization and monetary resilience, while also taking advantage of its potential for long-term appreciation. The HB 0201 is built on a strong economic case. Bitcoin, often referred to as the digital gold, has shown steady growth and resilience over the past decade. Its potential benefits aligns with Wyoming's tradition of promoting financial independence and innovation. The bill's ambition essentially extends beyond Wyoming, and Jacob also supports efforts by Wyoming Senator Cynthia Lummis and President-elect Donald Trump to establish the United States Bitcoin reserves. He sees this as a way to enhance national financial security and strengthen America's global standings in an increasing digital economy. Building a Bitcoin reserve isn't just about securing financial strength, it's about ensuring Wyoming and America lead the way in innovation.
Jacob also emphasized the urgency of acting now, as Bitcoin offers a way to diversify investments and promote financial independence aimed ongoing economic challenges. It stated that Wyoming must stay ahead in digital economies to secure its future. If passed, the HB0201 would further cement Wyoming's position as a leader in Bitcoin and financial innovations, inspiring other states to follow suit. So, Wyoming, just like Pennsylvania, Texas, Ohio, North Dakota, and so on, is also creating a Bitcoin bill, but they went a little bit further in terms of steps by actually filing it in, because the rest of the states are talking about it. Texas is a little bit close to filing it in as well. The rest of the states are just talking about it. Wyoming has actually filed it in. It's called the HB0, essentially 201. Let's see how things play out for them. And honestly, if you ever wanted more indication of, America going towards that crypto future, I mean, there are American states right now lining up for a Bitcoin reserve. There's one particular state that's lining up for a mixture of crypto assets, and there's companies that are thinking of doing that as well. But also there's the topic of what Bloomberg said. When Bloomberg came out just yesterday, and they talked about how the United States government is thinking about, Trump's administration is thinking about creating not just a Bitcoin reserve, but a mixture of crypto reserves for the United States government, which I said is a brilliant idea. However, some people are against the idea of, Trump creating a crypto reserve instead of a Bitcoin reserve. And the only people that are criticizing that are Bitcoin maxis. They're the only people that are criticizing the idea of a essentially crypto reserve. They prefer to have a Bitcoin reserve instead. My point of view has always been a crypto reserve makes a lot more sense. And I'm not saying this because I'm biased and I'm holding other crypto assets and so on. I'm saying this because it's the only way that the US's national debt is going to be fixed anytime soon. Because if you think about it, as they're trying to purchase, let's say, the United States government creates a Bitcoin reserve, as they're trying to essentially purchase Bitcoin. So this is the United States government. They're trying to purchase Bitcoin bit by bit over, the next 5 years or so on, next 2 years or however years they're planning on buying it for. They want to buy 5% supply of Bitcoin, essentially. So as the US government is buying Bitcoin bit by bit, just the Bitcoin reserve, the national debt is still climbing. So the Bitcoin reserve of the United States is going to have very difficulty just reaching up to essentially the national debt of the United States government. And then there's the argument of, if everybody creates a Bitcoin reserve, then Bitcoin will climb higher and higher and higher. True, but let's see if everybody does in terms of every nation. Because the moment America starts buying Bitcoin, every country tries to join in. The price of Bitcoin is going to start skyrocketing. So it's going to get difficult to buy a huge amount of Bitcoin. It's going to be smaller and smaller and smaller. So it's never going to catch up to the national debt. But if the United States government starts to buy a mixture of crypto assets, let's say if they want to put, 100 million Bitcoin, if they take that 100 million, put an XRP, it will go longer in terms of quantity. And they might be able to reach that national debt, not just with XRP, but with the help of XRP, with the help of XLM, with the help of essentially XDC or HBAR or so on, and have a strong financial crypto portfolio, then they can reach the national debt. But just buying Bitcoin, they're never going to reach the national debt. Now, moving on essentially from the national debt scenario, what they're essentially proposing, a lot of American states are proposing this, but it's also an indication of positiveness. America is going towards that positive cryptoness, which is great to see. And January 20th is, amazing day. It's going to be amazing that absolutely January 20th. But now moving on from that to crypto.com, to the EU essentially. The MiCA regulations pretty much is the first establishment of a crypto regulation for any jurisdiction around the world. Now, obviously, Dubai is well into the regulation sector and so on. The United Arab Emirates, in other words. Singapore has a multitude of regulations going on. Hong Kong has a multitude of regulations and so on. But the MiCA is a bit more structured, you could say, pretty much, and a bit more tough. And some exchanges aren't allowed to operate in the MiCA regulations in terms of the EU, and even tokens, for example, USDT and so on. But I fully understand why USDT is not allowed, because they don't have reserves to back their assets. Just a personal point of view, not taking any hits at essentially Tether. But crypto.com, if you are somebody that's using crypto.com inside the EU, you are safe from using it, because Crypto.com has just got the EU approval for the MiCA license. Crypto.com has secured an in-principle approval to operate across the European Union under a markets essentially in crypto assets MiCA license. The cryptocurrency exchange said once finalized, the MiCA license will enable Crypto.com to operate in the EU countries under a unified regulatory framework. It is the first global exchange to receive this essentially designation of a Crypto.com said on January 17th, without essentially specifying which jurisdictions granted the license. Crypto.com claims the MiCA will bring clarity, transparency, and establish a more streamlined sentiment towards the regulation of our industries across the EU, all of which adds to the building confidence in the crypto sector, said Eric, the Crypto.com's president and chief operating officer. MiCA is the EU's regulatory framework designed to standardize and regulate the crypto markets. It covers everything from crypto assets regulations and provide the requirements to jurisdictional responsibilities. The MiCA was proposed in September 2020, adapted essentially by May 2023, and became fully enforceable in December 2024. In January, Boris Stoko's digital custody became also Germany's first crypto asset service provider in terms of a full license, and some major cryptocurrency companies, like including Tether, USDT, may struggle to maintain operations in the EU. US crypto exchanges, Coinbase delisted USDT, so all the exchanges pretty much did. However, the stablecoin has continued trading across the EU, with many exchanges apparently waiting for more clarity from essentially EU authorities on USDT's compliance with the MiCA. In terms of EU regulators, have not said much whether USDT is compliant with MiCA or not. Crypto.com has been aggressively expanding in major markets, including the United States. In December, the exchange launched an institutional cryptocurrency custody service in the US as a part of a broader plan to expand its presence inside the country. In October, Crypto.com brought Watchdog Capital, a broker deal registered in the US Securities Exchange Commission, in a bid to expand their US footprints. And founded in 2016, Crypto.com is said to be more than 100 million users worldwide are using it. So, if you're someone that's using Crypto.com in the EU, don't worry, your assets are safe. Obviously not fully safe, you never know from compromisations or hacks. But in terms of a license, Crypto.com now has a license to operate in the EU under MiCA regulations, which is amazing to see. Especially it's good for anybody that's holding Crow token. Now, moving on essentially from the MiCA regulations in the EU to back to the United States. VC companies. If you ever wanted to know where a market space is going towards, you could also look at VC companies, because when all of the VC companies are looking at one direction, that's the direction you should be looking into as well. And it's also the indication of where institutions are looking towards. Because if institutions are running towards the crypto markets, then you know why, because the VC companies are also running towards the crypto markets to fund projects. Now, VC companies didn't really want to fund crypto projects that much in the previous years due to, uncertainty, speculation, manipulation, essentially no licenses, too many gray areas. Now, however, VC companies are lining up to enter the crypto fields. And the new stats are in. 46% of crypto VC funding went to US startups in Q4, with Trump set to boost the market space even more. 46% of fundings went essentially from VC companies to US startup companies that are all blockchain related. Nearly half of all venture capitalist VC fundings in crypto during Q4 2024 went to the US-based startups. The data has just came out today. Galaxy Digital's crypto and blockchain venture capital report, filed essentially on January 15, 2025, revealed this trend. The report showed that 46% of global VC funds were directed to US firms. Hong Kong ranked in second with 16%, while Singapore and the UK captured 9 to 8% of VC money. The US also led in deal counts, accounting for 36% of all VC transactions globally. Ryan, the chief investment officer at Merkle Tree Capital, attributed this dominance to the US's mature financial ecosystem. He said optimism about Donald Trump's incoming pro-crypto administration fueled these investments from VC companies. There is a deep pool of venture capitalists and limited partners in the US, Michele noted. The 46% increase in Q4 reflects anticipation of a pro-crypto government. Imagine Q4 was 46% of money coming in from VC companies to blockchain companies. Imagine what's going to be this year, Q1. Trump essentially coming in and is set for January 20th, 2025. His administration promises to make the US the global crypto leader. Hundreds of pro-crypto candidates also want seats in Congress. It's true, not only having a clean sweep of every essentially, every department essentially when it comes to the US government in terms of Republicans, not only do they have a clean sweep, but that clean sweep is filled with pro-crypto essentially government members and politicians and so on. Galaxy Digital's head of research, Alex Thorne, expects the US dominance to grow further. A supportive administration could finalize stablecoin frameworks and market structure, he said. This will open the doors essentially for traditional financial firms to enter the crypto space. However, regulatory uncertainty remains a hurdle. The SEC has targeted crypto firms aggressively, issuing $8.2 billion in penalties in 2024. Yet enforcement cases fell by 26% compared to previous years. Leadership changes at the SEC could alter this, and it definitely will. Trump has chosen Paul Atkins as the crypto advocate for the new SEC head, and David Sachs will serve as the administration's crypto Caesar. And Trump has pledged to make the US the crypto capital of the world. His government is expected to introduce initiatives supporting crypto startups and blockchain adoption. As the US strengthens its crypto dominance, global markets watch closely. A pro-crypto administration may transform the US into a hub for innovation and investments. Honestly, the United States, because of Trump, is going to go from 11th to first place in terms of crypto innovations, because that is where the United States is standing out right now, 11th place. But it's going to go to first because of Trump. But again, we've just had another perspective coming in from a billion-dollar company on essentially how things will be playing out when Trump comes in. And again, it's positive. We have not yet had a single negative complaint from any CEO about what Trump is going to be doing inside the crypto space, or what Trump is going to be doing inside the United States. Not a single company CEO of essentially from Wall Street or any sort of institutional place have came out and said anything negative about Trump in terms of what he's going to do for the United States market space, what he's going to do for the United States people, or what he's going to do for the crypto space. The only people that come out and essentially talk negative about essentially Trump are news journalists, and I'm guessing they're all liberals. Now, moving on essentially from another positive step, essentially another positive perspective of how things should be playing out January 20th, to China. Now, China is facing massive liquidity issues, but they don't want the world to know. China is trying to show this strong image of a strong currency, a strong country, and so on. But in reality, China is weak. China is also standing on their last leg, just like any other country is, to be essentially fairly honest. The EU, some countries in the EU are also standing on their last leg. Germany is standing on their last leg. So is France. So is the UK. So is America. A lot of countries are. But China's situation is, well, here it is. China faces liquidity squeeze aimed efforts to defend the yuan against essentially the strengthened dollar. The People's Bank of China, which is their central bank, has increased its efforts to defend the yuan against the strengthening of the dollar. The efforts have resulted in a surge in funding rates that have spiked the highest levels in the last 12 months. The Chinese central bank, the People's Bank of China, has increased its efforts to curb the rising dollar strength against the local currencies, which is causing essentially a cash squeeze in the Asian country. The liquidity squeeze has winded some time, causing a short-term funding rate to surge to its highest levels in the last 12 months. According to data from Batrata, a financial markets trading and investing tool provider, China is facing essentially a liquidity crunch. The data shows that the cost of borrowing essentially cash through a popular institution funding tools called the 7-day interbanking pledge repurchase contract spiked to its highest levels since October 2023. The spread between the central bank's own reserves, repo reference rate, and the rate has widened significantly, marking the widest point to the last 4 years. The funding squeeze is a clear indication that the Chinese government is making frantic efforts for its economy and stabilize its local currencies. Last September, the Chinese government unveiled a series of monetary policies aimed at boosting the economy. The monetary essentially packages appears to be pushing back against the Chinese currency and slide essentially which has been fueled by declining yields. The Chinese government has pushed more measures this week in terms of trying to strengthen itself, with the yuan including verbal promises to crack down on market distributions and making essentially changes to its capital controls. Last week, the Chinese central bank unexpectedly halted its purchase of government bonds in a bid to control the ongoing debt buying frenzy. Zhu Gondan, an analyst at essentially Hong Kong Securities, commented on the situation, saying that the People's Bank of China is carefully managing the pace of liquidity provision now that the currency stability has become a priority. The analyst expressed her uncertainty about how the People's Bank of China will handle the liquidity crisis. As the Lunar essentially New Year holidays approach, she estimated that the gap is worth around 1.5 trillion yuan, which is about $205 billion at current exchange rates. The strengthening dollar has brought the yuan to its knees, as many anticipate strong economic data and expectations of inflation policies from the incoming Trump essentially administration. Trump has continuously pledged to hit China with increased tariffs. According to a CNBC, the tariff threats have fueled essentially front-loading of the trade shipments in the US led by China. Seasonal flows are catalyzing the liquidity squeeze. The demand for cash tends to increase ahead of the week of the long holidays, which this year begins on January 28th. The Chinese people typically prefer having more cash withdrawing from banks to prepare for spending and traditional gift giving. Maturities from the People's Bank of China, leading facilities, and tax payments also cause cash outflows from the banking system. Market participants are closely monitoring how far the Central Bank of China will stomach a spike in borrowing costs. This also may weigh on corporate debt issuers and banks at the time when cheap funding is required to sustain China's delicate economic growth. According to a statement by the People's Bank of essentially China, by the People's Bank of China Governor Pan, at the forum of this week, China is expected to utilize its monetary adjustments tools such as interest rates and reserve requirements and ratios to maintain ample essentially liquidity in terms of their market space. Wei Kun Chong, a senior market strategist at BNY, said the central bank is likely to step up liquidity through a 14-day reverse repo into the festive period. He explained that the central bank is likely to deliver more essentially packages via cuts to interest rates or reserve requirements and ratios sometimes this year. The overnight repo essentially rate has also inflated recently, hinting at its highest point since August last year. So China is having difficulties, major difficulties, but they don't want the world to know. But the numbers there to prove that they are having massive, such a ridiculous massive liquidity issues. Big issue. If China decides to slide downhill, it'll probably take Russia with it. But also that might, in some cases, either increase the price of fuel or lower the price of fuel. Let's see how that one plays out. But China has been playing a very strong image for a while now. But because Trump's coming into power, what will happen is the dollar will get strengthened. China's economy will slide downhill slightly. But also what's interesting is there's a magazine article, The Economist. The Economist always comes out with certain images. And the images that they do display on their essential article is something that will play out throughout the year. So the new magazine from The Economist was revealed of the front page of what it's going to be. And the front page is images, small images all over on the front page of things that are going to be happening. Now, the previous articles from essentially The Economist, the previous magazines, every single image they showed pretty much happened. Think of it as like The Simpsons, but for Wall Street. So The Economist released their new magazine. Now, on The Economist, there's all pictures essentially of what's going to be possibly happening this year. There's a picture of a pandemic scenario. I mean, we are hearing noise of COVID 2.0 coming out of China. There's also a picture of Trump. He's becoming president. There's also a picture of the market space and the US dollars. It shows the US dollars going up with the dollar sign and the market sign. And it also shows the Chinese yuan going down. It also shows essentially the market space in terms of crypto going up as well. There's a lot of things on that essentially magazine front cover, which I'll also post inside the Telegram group as well. But everything pretty much on that magazine is going one by one true. It's like an indication of what's about to happen next. But Chinese yuan going through major difficulties, another indication on why BRICS will not survive. Because the two biggest players of BRICS are who? China and Russia. Russia is having its own difficulties right now. China is having major difficulties right now. So the idea of BRICS is getting diminished day by day as we're getting closer to a Trump presidency. I've said this previously and I'll say it again. BRICS was always going to have a difficult time coming about and trying to compete with the US markets. Nobody can compete with the US markets. It's just a losing battle. Genuinely losing battle. Because whenever they try to essentially come against the US markets will always fight back in some sort of a way. It could be political, it could be damaging their or crippling their economy through tariffs or through whatever it is. But it's a losing battle. And I've said this before and I'll say it again. For anybody that's thinking to themselves, is BRICS, if BRICS doesn't happen, is that bad for XRP? No. Because it doesn't matter if BRICS happens or it doesn't happen, XRP is still good. Because every country is still going to have a CBDC. So that way it's still good. And every country is still going to have a stable coin. So we're also still good. So once again, another indication that one of the biggest supporter of BRICS is standing on his one last leg. And if according to that magazine, if it is true, Chinese yuan sliding downhill, then China is about to go for an economic crisis. Now, the positive of that, China goes through an economic crisis. What's the positive for us inside the crypto markets? Well, if they can, see a scenario of China going through a downhill scenario, then they can go essentially for alternative assets. So if the traditional market space in China is going to slide downhill, then investors are going to run towards alternative assets. Now they can run towards gold and silver, or they can run towards the crypto markets, which is much more likely to happen. Also, China is thinking about opening stores to rules and regulations for the crypto market space. There was a judge in China who approved the rules and regulations for the crypto space. In one of their essentially provinces, they accepted essentially the idea of creating rules and regulations for the crypto space. And it's only because of Trump. So China is slowly opening its doors to the crypto space. They're going to bring out regulations as well. The moment China's economy decides to slide downhill, their traditional market space, most likely, essentially, investors in China are going to run to an alternative market space, which will be the crypto market space, which means traditional market space goes down, digital market space goes up. So there's the positive for us inside the crypto space. While everybody else is struggling, essentially, in China, in terms of the retail section, the crypto market is going to be thriving. Now, what we're going to be talking about next is California. California has decided to join the bandwagon of a Bitcoin reserve. But before we go through that, let's go inside the comment section first, and then we go into the next news. As I said previously, this is a live, which means if you do have any questions, put it down inside the comment section. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions you may have. So before we go for the next news, which is related to California, let's go inside the comment section first. Let's see where we were at. We were at here. There was a picture on social media with Trump, Brad, and Stewart standing with the number 589. Is it edited? If not, what does this 589 mean? The picture with Trump, Brad, and Stewart is real, but the number showing 589 is edited in most cases. The picture originally is real, but it's an edited picture of it showing 589. 589 is something that nobody's been able to crack inside the XRP space. It's the speculation of XRP reaching $589. The speculation of XRP is about to be reaching $5.89. There's so many theories about 589 in the play regarding XRP, but XRP reaching 3 digits, very possible. With the correct rules and regulations, not overnight, over time, with the correct rules and regulations, 3 digits, 4 digits, very possible. That's my point of view. Now, that's always been my point of view for years. There's a picture on social media with Trump, essentially. Oh, sorry. Thanks, Miles. I appreciate your thoughts on HBOT. No problem, Scott, anytime. Miles, I've seen your portfolio, and I will look into CRO as well as buying into the 3X and HBOT. Let's go. I don't hold CRO. But crypto.com, if you want to go for that token, why not? I mean, crypto.com is going to become a massive platform. Crypto.com is going to, expand from crypto into stocks and derivatives and bonds and yields and so many other options. Crypto.com is trying to become this, all-in app for the financial tool of the future, essentially. So Crow could potentially do very well in the long term. If I got 20,000 for buy, I get spell token and ACH. Even Miles and CMF, money, good to see as well how you're doing, how you've been. Miles, long time talking when Chainlink ETF. It's taking a long time for Chainlink ETF. It's taking a long time for a lot of ETFs, to be fairly honest, and that's mostly because of Gary Gensler. But the good thing is Gary Gensler is coming. Gary Gensler is leaving January 20th in about 2 days. Goodbye, Gary Gensler, essentially. So don't worry. Hi, Miles. I left you a message. Crypto Don, I'll take a look at it after the last live. Apologies about that. Shalom, Miles. What do you think AVAX essentially? What do you think AVAX can reach on price in terms of bullring peak? In terms of what do I think AVAX is going to be reaching in terms of the bull run peak? From where it's standing now, 5 up. Miles, your crypto list has CRO in it. My new crypto list doesn't have CRO in it. Kerry, you might want to look at the new one that I've posted. So I posted my new portfolio on the CMF Telegram group about 2 days ago, and CRO is not in it. So check out the new list. Would you recommend Crypto.com again? It's in the pin section of the Telegram group. Would you recommend Crypto.com again after what happened ages ago with you being locked out? Would I recommend Crypto.com exchange to anybody after me being locked out a long time ago? Yes. Yes, I would. Even though they might have back then they might have had bad customer service. I'm not sure how their customer service is now. But I would, yeah, because they're about to become everything app. But obviously, grain of salt. Let's go CMF. Thank you, Trump one. Ray, thank you so much for the $5 donation, brother. It's going straight into the CMF hedge fund to start it up. Thanks so much for the $5 donation, brother. Miles, CRO is your portfolio in number 13 list, but yes, it does, Miles. Well, I've just seen your new list. Okay, I've sold CRO, so I don't know why it's still on that list. I've sold CRO. Apologies, everyone. Yeah, apologies. I need to remove CRO from that list because I sold that CRO. Miles, CRO is in your portfolio, number 13 in the list, but you just said you don't hold CRO. No, I sold CRO, so it's a typo. Apologies about that. Yes, it does, Miles. Yeah, I sold CRO. I've just seen your new list. Yep, 589 is from Simpsons. 589 is also on David Schwartz's post. 589 is also in Ripple's post. 589 has been everywhere in the Ripple scene. I'm telling you, CRO is number 13. Yep, I'm fully aware of that because I've just been confirmed. Yeah, I've sold CRO. I do not hold CRO anymore. I've spread CRO essentially across the 5Xs. I need to remove that from my list on the CMF post, but I've sold CRO. So apologies about that. Kerry, thanks so much for pointing out first. Frankie brother, thanks so much for the confirmation. Shelly, thank you so much for the confirmation as well. But I have sold CRO. And I spread it across the X's. So sorry everyone for not removing it from the list. And apologies for saying it's not on my list when it was. Sorry about that. Now, California. California State Assembly plans to draft a pro-Bitcoin essential legislation and back Bitcoin initiatives. As excitement builds up in the current markets with the upcoming essentially President Trump coming in January 20th, several US states are starting to adapt a crypto-friendly policies. One of them, for the first time ever, being California. Now, California has never been the crypto-friendly side, you could say, but all of a sudden it is. In an important development, California State Representatives, Republican essentially Philip, is making an effort to create a Bitcoin legislation even in California. This move could essentially give investors a clearer picture of Bitcoin's future, creating new highs for the asset. The Office of California Assembly member Philip, a Republican, essentially has partnered with Proof of Workforce, a non-essential profit from Santa Monica that focuses on teaching workers, unions, and pensions and local governments about Bitcoin. They will also collaborate on various Bitcoin-related projects and essentially assist in drafting a bill for the next legislation in terms of sessions. Led by its founder, Dom, Proof of Workforce will collaborate with Chan's policies and teams to focus on educational efforts and community outreach, while essentially also investigating how Bitcoin can contribute to the developments of restoration of infrastructure and continuously across California. So not only are they going to be creating some sort of a Bitcoin reserve in California, they're also going to be teaching blockchain education in California, starting with Bitcoin, which is great, honestly, for more people to understand how blockchain works, especially as how fast we are actually moving into a digital world, especially under the Trump presidency. What was also said is that Bitcoin's genesis story has deep roots in California. A huge part of that genesis story is an innovative network designed to protect the time, energy, and value of everyday working people. Bitcoin isn't a partisan, it's uniquely Californian. This isn't the first proof of workforce has been introduced. Bitcoin to California governments. Last summer, they essentially tried to establish an official Bitcoin office in Santa Monica. Since its opening, the office has attracted significant attention, says Santa Monica's mayor. Additionally, the city manager mentioned that other cities have also been inquiring about Santa Monica's Bitcoin initiatives and what could also possibly happen in California in terms of Bitcoin policies, Bitcoin regulations, or cryptocurrency regulations in general. Efforts like this help Bitcoin become more popular as California governments start using Bitcoin, and with the US government supportive under President Trump, it's likely that essentially more state agencies will begin using Bitcoin in the future. Donald Trump's presidency has significantly impacted financial markets. After his re-election, asset prices, particularly cryptocurrencies, have seen substantial essentially increases, and last year the total value of digital currencies has doubled, with the Bitcoin reaching essentially new peaks of just over $100,000, driven by Trump's pro-crypto stance during his campaigns. Trump has talked about setting up a government reserve of Bitcoin similar to the US stockpiles of gold and oil. He has nominated supporters of cryptocurrencies to lead the Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC, and Treasury, and essentially Trump is preparing to issue an executive order that will prioritize cryptocurrencies and policies and involve industry experts in his administration. The order will likely declare crypto as a national priority and move to encourage government agencies to collaborate with the sector. It's also expected to establish a crypto advisory council to push the narrative of cryptocurrencies and goals. Now, just once again, if you did want an indication of how pro-America is and how America is getting ready for a pro-essential cryptocurrency scene, even California is jumping on the bandwagon. Day by day, we're going to see more American states coming out essentially and saying they want to jump on the bandwagon of a Bitcoin reserve or a cryptocurrency reserve or bring out cryptocurrency regulations. We went from, again, nobody that wanted to touch crypto assets to now everybody wants to be part of the bandwagon. Amazing to see. But also the most amazing part is that they want to teach crypto assets to people as well. They want to make people understand what is Bitcoin, what is cryptocurrencies, how to do this, how to do that. It's not just about creating a Bitcoin reserve. It's also about the education part as well, which is a key factor on display. But again, another indication that we are moving towards a pro-crypto presidency. Now, before we move on to the next news, which is relatable to the US and China and President Trump and Xi Jinping, the president of China, before we go to that next news, let's go to the comment section first. As I said previously, this is a live show, which means if you do have any questions, put it outside the comment section. I'm more than happy to answer any questions you may have. So let's see what the questions are inside the comment section, and we'll go straight into the next news. Are you talking about that list on your portfolio? You put the Telegram, or am I missing something? Yeah, that's the list. Miles, we all pay attention. Good students. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, apologies about everyone about that CRO, because I sold CRO. I just forgot to remove from the list. Miles, apologizing for forget to remove the fact that you own some Crow is unbelievable. The value you are sharing is golden. Never apologize. You're a busy man. Happy Pisces, thank you for that. But the apology was needed because I had to. Well, thank you. Are you not bullish? Are you not bullish on ACH? No more, Miles. I'm bullish on ACH no matter what. I'm bullish on ACH, but obviously I'm more bullish towards XRP, XLM, XDC, HBON, ADA, and so on, because they're playing a bigger role going into the regulations. ACH is still going to play a role. They have a multitude of licensings, a multitude of partnerships and contracts in place, but those assets are going to play a bigger role than ACH is. But ACH is still going to be playing some sort of a role in terms of financial projects. So I'm not negative on ACH. I never will be negative on ACH. I've always been bullish on ACH, but I'm more bullish on the other assets than I am on that. My little sister from the other side of the world in Australia, Shelley J, takes notes every night. Let's go. Maybe 589 is what XRP is going to as Trump takes his seat, as in $5 and then $8 and then $9 finally in the first 3 months to the 4 months. I've never heard that perspective before. Interesting play, I've always heard the 589. David Schwartz, post images sometimes about 589 on his X post. So if anybody's ever seen David Schwartz's post on X, he's posted a 589 placard, a 589 petrol station where it shows 589 for the pricing of fuel and so on. So he always plays around with the number 589. And I've always had the theories of, $589 is one XRP, essentially a starting point, or $5.89 and so on. But I've never had the theory of $5 first, $8 second, and then $9 third is what's going to be happening in the first, essentially, quarter. It's an interesting perspective to have, I'll be honest. Anything's at play. Hey, Miles, my brother, Mixmax told me about you. He had a surgery today and will listen later. Can you say hi to Mixmax, please? Yes, I can. Mixmax, good to see you. How you doing? And I also hope, Mixmax, that you're doing better post-surgery, and hope you get better. Good to see you. Brad only follows 589 people on X. It is true as well. Brad only follows 589 people on X. 589 means some sort of a code. We're going to figure out what that code is as we go more into a Trump presidency, to be fairly honest. But Mixmax, how you doing, brother? Hope your surgery is going well. Post-surgery is going well, and I hope you do get better. Now, President Trump. President Trump makes a phone call to China, Xi Jinping, for the first time since 2021. Trump and Xi Jinping had a phone call. Now, phone call went good or phone call went bad? Let's see. Thank you. No problem, Artistic, anytime. Donald Trump, the president-elect of the United States, finally picked up the phone to talk with China's President Xi Jinping on Friday, the first direct exchange since he left office in 2021. And it happened just 3 days before Trump coming into Washington, where China's Vice President Han Zeng is set essentially to attend the ceremony. Per a report essentially by CNBC, Trump's transition team has actually been in contact with Beijing for weeks. The president wasted no time detailing the call on Truth Social, calling it a very good one for both China and the US, he added. He said, this is what Trump said. One thing I do love about Trump is he's the only politician that is transparent. Honestly, other politicians, prime ministers and presidents, would have phone calls with other, powerful people, which are, normally hidden meetings. Trump is more like, I did this today, or I did that today, or so on. And this is what Trump tweeted out saying on his own Truth Social platform of the conversation he had with Xi Jinping, the president of essentially China. I just spoke to Chairman Xi Jinping of China. The call was very good, one for both China and the US. It is my expectation that we will solve many problems together and start immediately. We discussed balancing trade and essentially TikTok and fentanyl and many other subjects. President Xi Jinping and I will do everything possible to make the world more peaceful and safe. You know what that means? That whole China is going to start a war with Taiwan. Forget about it. China's never going to start a war with Taiwan now, because Trump ending his message with essentially President Xi Jinping and I will do everything possible to make the world more peaceful and safe. That means China's never going to go after Taiwan anymore. Trump and Xi Jinping talked about TikTok, the social media platform that's essentially become a flashpoint in China's, essentially in the US-China relations. Their conversations comes as the Supreme Court is upholding the federal law banning TikTok in the United States. Well, I'll tell you afterwards. The law takes effect on Sunday, leaving little time for negotiation. Trump had previously credited TikTok for helping his campaign strategy. Now he can either enforce the ban or rethink it entirely. Look, the one thing I want to say is, you know what's interesting? All the politicians that were using essentially TikTok, all the conservative, essentially, politicians, not the Republicans, the other party that were using essentially TikTok, voting against the ban TikTok is an interesting play. But Trump is going to try to, if you are somebody that uses TikTok and still wants to have access to a platform, especially if you're a United States citizen, it does seem like Trump is going to be fixing that scenario. TikTok is going to be surviving, and your freedom of speech is going to be saved as well. The law takes effect on Sunday, essentially leaving no little time for negotiation. Trump had previously credited TikTok for a big part of his campaign. Now, on the fentanyl, the stakes are essentially equally high. The US has long pressed China to crack down on exports of illicit things that come from China to the United States. Trump signaled urgencies, essentially saying solutions need to stop immediately. Two men also talked about the trade imbalances and tariffs through details of what remains essentially unshared. Meanwhile, the European Union is considering dropping a trade investigation to China over alleged essentially illicit activities against Lithuania. Even the EU is dropping its investigations in China. They're dropping it completely because now that Trump has already had a conversation with essentially Xi Jinping, there's no need for anybody else to go after China. The EU took matters into the World Trade Organization 2022 and backed by the US and 17 other countries. But now there's talks of breaking down, essentially, which has essentially infuriated Washington. Trump's team views this to China as one insider saying it reinforces the need for stronger essential coordinations. So that whole topic about what Trump is going to achieve. Trump is going to be achieving crypto policies, yes. Trump is going to stop all wars, yes. Trump is not going to be crippling with tariffs, yes. He's not going to be crippling any country with tariffs in any sort of a way. And he's already had a conversation with Xi Jinping. So maybe there's hope for China after all if they behave themselves around the US or around Trump in this case. Now, moving on essentially from the United States and Xi Jinping, Bank of England. And also, the topic of relevance between this whole China and US situation is the market turbulence is going to cause. So me sharing news regarding essentially Trump and Xi Jinping and the conversations they had about world peace, it has relevance to crypto projects, to cryptocurrency market space in general. Because the relevance is if a war happens, then turbulence happens inside the market space and the market tanks. So as long as Trump keeps the world safe, and Trump introduces cryptocurrency regulations, makes America the crypto hub of the world, the rest of the world markets follow America's footsteps, we're all good. So Trump is going to bring positivity from every angle for the market space because wars create, market downtrends. So no wars, good. Crypto market space, safe. Trump bringing regulations, good. America become a capital hub, good. The world market follows America's footsteps in the crypto space, good. It's all pretty much good to go. So that's the relevance between, Xi Jinping essentially and Trump having a good term conversation with each other, and China thinking twice about starting a war with Taiwan. Now, Bank of England, moving on from the US and essentially and the Chinese news and Xi Jinping to Bank of England. The Bank of England has published its central bank digital currency paperwork. The Bank of England went from we're not creating a digital currency. The Bank of England went from, we're not creating a CBDC. We're just testing and messing about to now publishing their CBDC PDF. The Bank of England has published a blueprint framework describing the way essentially in which a digital version of the British pounds could be implemented. Plans to launch a digital pounds lab this year have also been announced by the UK Central Bank. The lab will provide a technology essentially sandbox environment that will enable hands-on experimentations of innovative central bank digital currency CBDC use cases, potential business models for payment interferences and providers, and external service interference and providers, and API functionality and testings. The goal, the bank says, is to provide an environment to test the potential capabilities of a digital pound of different use cases. This will essentially help assess the feasibilities of developing a digital pound as a platform for innovation. The plan to launch the Digital Pounds Lab is included in the central bank's latest progress update reports. A digital pound issued by the Bank of England would be seamlessly exchangeable with cash and bank deposits, ensuring a continuous of trust and essentially uniform and accessible means of payments. The bank also says in its reports, however, it adds no decision has been made on whether to proceed with the digital pounds. After completing the design phase over the next couple of years, including taking account of developments and the wider payments landscape, the Bank of Government will assess the policy cases for digital pounds and determine whether or not to proceed. They're chatting complete lies. Every centralized bank, every centralized bank will introduce a CBDC. And a lot of CBDCs are coming this year. A lot. And whichever country that doesn't release a CBDC this year, it's coming in next year. Now, before we go through the next news, let's go to the comment section first, and then we go straight into the next news. The next news is related to Ripple. But before we go through that, it's Ripple and SEC news. Let's go to the comment section first. Let's see where we're at. Hi, Miles and CMF. I'm sorry I'm late to the party. No problem, Peg. Good to see how you're doing. Hi, Miles. What is the burn rate of XRP? Do we know? I'll tell you on the Telegram group. I'll post it for you. Miles, your audio is a few seconds out again. I don't know why that happens sometimes with on audio. When you think CBDCs will be in place in the UK, I think we'll have CBDC test payments coming out in the UK this year, but a full implementation might be next year. But test payments of CBDCs, British CBDCs, will be this year in most cases. But then again, if the test payments are successful, then a full implementation could be stopped this year as well. But how they release CBDCs, how they've released CBDCs so far in the jurisdictions that have released CBDCs is in portions. So no country that does CBDCs has ever, fully went CBDC overnight. It's more like they release CBDCs in portions. So if that does happen in the UK as well, it's going to be CBDC in portions. So, one particular county will have CBDCs, the rest won't, and then slowly every county catches up. Now, but this year, in most cases, the starting line, and by next year, we should be full implementation. Ripple is what we're going to talk about next. Ripple fights back as the SEC arguments face intense scrutiny. The U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC, filed in their their opening briefs in the Ripple case appeal, which was, a complete load of BS, to be fairly honest. But it was Gary Gensler's last attempt to stifle Ripple or XRP, and then it failed because the crypto markets reacted in a positive way when the SEC filed. I bet you any money, Gary Gensler was not expecting that, because Gary Gensler knows that whatever he does or whatever he thought he does inside, the XRP case will stifle XRP in some sort of a way. But this time around, when he filed, I'm guessing Gary Gensler thought, yes, the markets are going to dump. Because the reason I'm saying this is because this man filed in last minute. The appeal he started off was last minute. Everything he does is last minute when it comes to XRP. It's like he holds some sort of a grudge against Ripple or XRP. But I'm guessing Gary Gensler thought, essentially this is going to be, me filing this in and XRP dumps. And the market reacted the other way. Because everybody knows he's out the window. Out the door. So sparking intense debate, the SEC's strategy focuses on proving promotional statements by Ripple rather than demonstrating investor resilience on those statements. This shift in approach raises legal questions about the frameworks applied to security laws inside the crypto industry. Now, a few attorneys have came out with their perspectives on this whole Ripple and SEC case, because we're going into a Trump presidency, dismissal or settle. Attorney Jeremy Hogan highlighted flaws in the SEC's arguments. The new filing of the SEC done, there are many flaws inside of it, particularly its resilience on precedents like Aquasonic. The SEC combined unrelated sentences from the case to support its position. Hogan also criticized this approach, stating it misrepresents the case conclusion. Ripple's legal team is expected to dismantle these claims, emphasizing key differences between Aquasonic and Ripple case. Additionally, the SEC's failure to address thousands of advocates from XRP investors compiled by attorney John Deaton is a glaring omission. These affidavits essentially refute the claim that XRP buyers relied on Ripple's promotional efforts. The SEC's inability to counter this evidence could undermine its appeal. Ripple's chief legal officer, Stewart, expressed confidence in the company's legal position. He emphasized the selective enforcement of security laws under the SEC chairman, Gary Gensler, and criticized the agency's tactics, asserting that they aim to suppress the crypto industry rather than enforce laws essentially faithfully. Moreover, Ripple plans to spotlight the agency's inconsistent litigation strategies, which appear to be driven by desired outcomes rather than legal principles. Ripple believes exposing essentially these tactics will strengthen its case and catalyze and reforms within the SEC under new leaderships. This case carries far-reaching consequences for the cryptocurrency sector. Vivek Ramsey criticized the SEC's legal approach, asserting that its tactics often violate constitutional principles. The Ripple case exemplifies the growing tensions between regulatory agencies and the rapidly evolving crypto industry. The outcome of this appeal will shape how securities laws apply to digital assets. Ripple's confidence, paired with the SEC's questionable arguments, suggests the crypto companies poised to emerge stronger. As expected, the SEC's appeal brief is a relish of already failed arguments and likely to be abandoned by the next administration, is what Stewart said. He also went on to say, "We'll respond formally in due time. For now, know this." This is what Stewart said. This is what Ripple's CLO said. He said, "As expected, the SEC appeal brief is a relish of already failed arguments and likely to be abandoned by the next administration. We'll respond formally in due time. For now, know this. The SEC lawsuit is just noise." This is Ripple's lawyer coming out and saying this, that the SEC's lawsuit is just noise. A new era of pro-innovation regulation is coming. And he's not lying. Honestly, they are not lying. This is why nobody reacted in a negative way to Gary Gensler, because why should we react to the SEC case versus XRP in a negative way anymore? Because Gary Gensler, stopping innovation is gone. He's leaving January 20th. In about 2 days, no more Gary Gensler. Also, Stewart said, it's good to say goodbye, Gary Gensler, or Gary who is what he also said as well. But in general, I'm telling you right now, this year, this is the year XRP case settled or dismissed. That's also perspective coming in now from Ripple's own lawyer. Ripple's head lawyer, basically, coming out and saying that the SEC case versus Ripple is just noise, and that the new pro-crypto essentially administration is coming in, and that this case is going to be dismissed or settled in some sort of a way. This is the year for XRP, XLM, XDC, and HBOR, and so on, for the financial projects. If you're not in them, position yourself in them. Now, let's consider the comment section, and then I'll tell you what. Hi, Miles. What is... Oh, sorry, I read that one. When you think CBDC will be placed, I read that one. How about $9 on the 8th day, $5 a month for 2025? It's an outcome to be considered. 5 and 9 has always been a theory. Let's hope the SEC Gary sold his XRP before he had another go at them, hoping to buy more low. It would be great to find out how much crypto he has. Well, the thing is, with Gary Gensler, he has to file in how much cryptocurrencies he actually holds. He has to file in. If he doesn't file in, it will be considered as fraud because he is a government worker and he has to show if he's holding any sort of alternative assets, especially one that is manipulating in a case. So if they ever find out that Gary Gensler is holding XRP while battling essentially lawsuit with XRP and Ripple, then Gary Gensler could be thrown into prison for manipulating market prices. Gary's the weasel thought that the XRP will dip, but instead the markets went straight up, like middle finger to Gary. Yeah, pretty much. But also, I came to the conclusion of, do we say, to Gary Gensler, do we give the middle finger to Gary Gensler, or do we shake Gary Gensler's hand? Now, some people might be confused on that matter. Somebody saying, why would you shake Gary Gensler's hand? Well, there's the argument of, yes, Gary Gensler 100% stifled XRP's growth, but now XRP's showing that growth. The other side is that, Gary Gensler kept the price of XRP low for all of us to buy cheap. So it's the argument of, do we give the middle finger to Gary Gensler, or do we shake his hand? Because he helped all of us buy cheap for so long, at the same time stifling his growth. But now obviously the stifling is finished and we brought cheap because of him, and now he's going out of the picture and we can make, essentially an incredible amount of wealth from it. Now, on that note of essentially, if you haven't looked into XRP, please look into it. Not financial advice in any sort of a way. Read essentially XRP documents. Go to Ripple's website, see what they're about. This is the year of XRP. I've been saying this for a while. This is the year of XRP. Now, all good things must come to an end, which they have now. This is the endings of tonight's essentially episode of the CMF Live. This was episode 244 of the CMF Live. And if you're watching this for the first time ever, the CMF stands for Crypto Miles Family. My name is Miles. I go by the persona of Crypto Miles, and I'm the host of this live Monday to Friday, 11:25 p.m. UK time. Tune in Monday to Friday. And if you're watching this for the first time ever and you're wondering what this is, I talk about the most recent news that's happening around the world in terms of cryptocurrencies, CBDCs, AI, politics, and regulations. Vital information for you to know about regarding the world completely transforming into a digital space. So if you haven't already, drop a like, drop a comment, follow, subscribe, retweet, comment outside the live if you already haven't, and tune in into every single live. And I'll be seeing everybody pretty much on Monday at 11:25 p.m. UK time onwards. And by Monday, we should have a new president. By Monday, we should have a new president and a pro-crypto market space. And if you already haven't also, follow me on essentially, join the CMF on Telegram, join the CMF on essentially on the X communities page, and subscribe and follow. Let's go to the comment section first before I do leave. Shake his hand and give him a kick on the backside. Trump was not showing happy with essentially Larson for the large donation to Kamala. Trump was not showing happy. He'll be fine. See you next week, brother. Kerry, see you next week, brother. Same time as usual. Night Miles. Pablo, see you Monday as well. Same time as usual. Gary Gensler is that one classmate who snitches on everyone in the school and makes one style up for no reason. Lena, let's go. And thank you so much, Miles, for the news. You're amazing. We love you. Thank you so much, Peg, for the kind words. I'll see you on Monday, same time as usual. Will you go live on Monday since it's the day? Yes, of course I will. Monday I'm definitely going live. Monday to Friday is CMF Live. Finally, I can take his photo off my dartboard. Bye-bye, Gary. Hey, Gary. Good night, Miles. Mike, see you on Monday, brother. Same time as usual. Have an awesome weekend. Thanks, Miles. See you on Trump Day. Let's go, Artistic. See you on Trump Day. Thanks, Miles. As always, Solomon, see you on Monday. Same time as usual. Great live. Thank you so much, and have a wonderful weekend with loads of fun. Good night, all. Lena, let's go. See you on Monday. Same time as usual. Thank you, Miles, and good night, and see you on Monday. Funky brother, see you on Monday. Same time as usual as well. I think Monday is a bank holiday in the US. Okay. Good night, Miles and CMF. Thank you very much. Cool. Let's go. See you on Monday, same time as usual as well. Thanks, Miles. See you on Monday. Have a good weekend, CMF. Orphan, see you on Monday, same time as usual as well. CMF, see you guys on Monday. Let's go, Funky brother. See you on Monday, same time as usual. I'll be seeing everybody on Monday, same timing as usual. Everybody have a great day or a good night, depending on where you're around the world. CMF, everybody have a great day or a good night, depending on where you're around the world. And thanks. Let's go with us. If you haven't already, like, comment, share, retweet, subscribe, follow if you already haven't. I'll see everybody on Monday, same time as usual, on Trump's Day. Everybody have a great day or a good night, depending on where you are around. CMF, see you on Monday, same time as usual. MDT or Casper? Casper because it's on its own chain, but MDT is a great project. Thanks, Miles. Good night, all. Stormy, let's go. See you on Monday, same time as usual. But MDT has a better play as well.